A devoted husband, Alex, always believed in the sanctity of marriage. His wife, Emily, was his world, a vibrant, ambitious woman who seemed to complete him in every way. Together, they built a life that appeared perfect to outsiders. A beautiful suburban home, flourishing careers, and shared dreams of starting a family. However, as the years went by, cracks began to form in their once idyllic relationship. Emily's late nights at the office became more frequent, her once luminous eyes now clouded with secrets she refused to share. Alex, burdened by his own demanding career, dismissed the growing distance as a phase, believing that their love was unshakable. One day, Alex accidentally stumbled upon an unfamiliar message on Emily's phone, a flirtatious exchange with a man named Daniel. His heart sank as suspicion consumed him. Confronting Emily led to a painful confession. She had been having an affair with Daniel, a colleague who offered her the attention and excitement she claimed was missing in their marriage. The revelation shattered Alex. He grappled with betrayal, self-doubt, and anger. Emily, too, was torn. She admitted her mistake, but expressed doubts about their relationship, questioning whether their love had truly withstood the test of time. They decided to seek therapy, hoping to salvage what remained of their bond. Despite their efforts, the wounds ran too deep, and the trust that once anchored their marriage had been irreparably broken. The sessions only revealed how far apart they had drifted. After months of emotional turmoil, Alex and Emily mutually agreed to part ways. The divorce was amicable yet devastating, marking the end of a chapter they had both cherished. Alex learned to rebuild his life, finding solace in his passions and rediscovering his sense of self. Emily, too, embarked on a journey of self-reflection, seeking to understand the choices that led to their downfall. Their story became a cautionary tale among their friends, a reminder of how even the strongest relationships require constant care and attention. Though their paths diverged, Alex and Emily carried the lessons of their failed marriage into their separate futures, each striving to be better versions of themselves. Years passed, and Alex found himself thriving in ways he never imagined. He moved to a new city, took on a leadership role at his company, and found joy in simple things. Hiking trails at sunrise, painting landscapes, and reconnecting with old friends. The divorce, though painful, had forced him to confront his own shortcomings and grow into a more resilient version of himself. Emily, on the other hand, experienced a different journey. Her relationship with Daniel fizzled out shortly after the divorce. What started as an exhilarating escape became a source of regret. The reality of her choices hit hard when she found herself alone, grappling with the guilt of hurting Alex and questioning whether she had truly known what she wanted. One evening, Emily reached out to Alex. It wasn't a plea for reconciliation, but an attempt to close the loop. They met at a small cafe that held memories of happier times. Their conversation was honest and raw, free from the bitterness that once defined their interactions. Emily apologized, her voice trembling. "I know I can't undo the past, but I wanted you to know I regret how I hurt you." Alex looked at her, a calm understanding in his eyes. "We both made mistakes, Emily, and we both deserve better. Better from each other and better for ourselves." Their meeting didn't rekindle their love, but brought a sense of peace. They parted ways with mutual respect, finally releasing the ghosts of their past. As Alex continued his journey, he met Sophie, a vibrant woman with a love for adventure and a compassionate heart. Their connection was effortless, rooted in honesty and shared values. Sophie wasn't a replacement for Emily, but a partner who complemented Alex in ways he hadn't known he needed. Meanwhile, Emily found purpose in mentoring young professionals in her field. It was a way of giving back, of channeling her energy into something meaningful. Slowly, she began to rebuild her sense of self-worth, learning to forgive herself and grow from her mistakes. Years later, Alex and Emily's paths crossed once more at a charity gala. Both had moved on, yet there was no animosity, only a quiet acknowledgement of the roles they had played in shaping each other's lives. They exchanged polite smiles, each silently wishing the other well. In the end, their story wasn't about the betrayal or the divorce, but about resilience, growth, and the capacity to find meaning in even the most painful chapters of life. They had loved, they had hurt, and they had healed, each finding their own version of happiness in the aftermath. After their brief encounter at the charity gala, Alex couldn't help but reflect on how far he had come. Sophie, now his fiancée, noticed his quiet introspection later that evening. "Penny for your thoughts?" she asked, her gentle voice pulling him back to the present. He smiled, grateful for her presence. "Just thinking about the past." Running into Emily stirred some memories, but not in a bad way. "It's strange to look back and see how much has changed." Sophie placed her hand on his. "It sounds like you've made peace with it." "I have," Alex replied, "and I think that's why it doesn't hurt anymore. It's just a part of my story, not the whole thing." Meanwhile, Emily walked home from the gala, the glow of the city lights reflecting in her eyes. Seeing Alex with Sophie had been bittersweet. It reminded her of what she had lost, but also of how far she had come in her journey of self-discovery. She thought of the young woman she once was, impulsive, restless, and seeking validation in all the wrong places. That version of herself felt like a stranger now. Emily had recently started writing a book, a memoir of sorts, blending her personal experiences with lessons about love, regret, and redemption. The process was cathartic, helping her unravel the complexities of her choices and transform them into something meaningful. As she wrote late into the night, Emily found herself reflecting on the kindness Alex had shown her during their last conversation. Despite everything, he had given her a gift, his forgiveness. It was a gift she had struggled to give herself, but was learning to embrace. Months later, Alex and Sophie celebrated their wedding in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by close friends and family. As Alex stood at the altar, watching Sophie walk down the aisle, he felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had tested him, broken him, and rebuilt him in ways he never imagined. Sophie had been a light in his darkest moments, and now she was his future. Emily received an invitation to the wedding, but chose not to attend. Instead, she sent a heartfelt letter wishing them happiness and sharing her own growth. "Your forgiveness," she wrote, "taught me that love doesn't always end when a relationship does. It changes, evolves, and leaves its mark in ways we may never fully understand." By the time her book was published, Emily had become an advocate for self-awareness and emotional healing. Her story resonated with countless readers who saw their own struggles reflected in her words. She often spoke about how failure wasn't the end, but a stepping stone to something greater if one had the courage to learn from it. Years later, Alex and Sophie welcomed their first child, a baby girl named Grace. Holding her in his arms, Alex was overwhelmed by a sense of completeness he hadn't thought possible. Life had come full circle, and in Grace's innocent eyes, he saw the promise of new beginnings. Emily, too, found happiness, not in another relationship, but in the fulfillment of a life lived with purpose. She traveled the world, shared her story, and inspired others to embrace their imperfections. Their paths remained separate, yet intertwined in the unspoken way that all lives touched by love and loss often are. In their own ways, both Alex and Emily had found peace, proving that even the most painful endings could lead to beautiful new chapters. Years drifted by, and both Alex and Emily continued their separate journeys, each more fulfilled than they had ever been before. However, there would always be moments, quiet reflections that brought them back to that pivotal chapter in their lives, the one they had lived together. Alex, now a successful entrepreneur, often found himself speaking at leadership conferences, where he shared stories of resilience and the importance of emotional intelligence. At a particularly intimate gathering, he was approached by a young man who had been following his work closely. The man was just starting out in his own business and had been through a difficult breakup that mirrored Alex's past. They sat down for a conversation, and Alex saw in him the same sense of uncertainty he once had. In that moment, Alex shared his story of healing, the pain of betrayal, and the eventual peace he had found. "You don't have to carry the weight of it forever," Alex said, his voice filled with a quiet conviction. "The only thing I can tell you is that the hurt will transform into something else. Something better. It won't be immediate, but one day you'll look back and realize that your journey to healing is what gave you the strength to move forward." The young man nodded, taking in every word. Alex could see the same doubts he had once harbored flicker in his eyes. But he also saw hope. Meanwhile, Emily's book had taken on a life of its own. Unraveling Love, a journey of regret and redemption, became a bestseller, resonating deeply with people who had suffered from betrayal, heartbreak, and self-doubt. She traveled widely for speaking engagements, holding workshops on emotional resilience and relationship healing. One evening, after a particularly intense seminar, a woman came up to Emily, her eyes brimming with tears. "I've been reading your book for weeks," the woman said, her voice trembling, "and it changed my life. I've been stuck in a toxic relationship for years, afraid to let go. Your story showed me that it's okay to walk away. It's okay to heal, even if it means leaving the past behind." Emily took the woman's hands in hers, her own eyes misting over. "You have so much strength inside of you. Remember, walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you strong. It takes courage to face the truth, and even more courage to choose your own happiness." The woman smiled, wiping away her tears, and for the first time in a long time, Emily saw not just a reflection of her own pain in others, but also the power of transformation. She was no longer defined by her mistakes, nor was she the woman she had been in her marriage to Alex. She was an advocate for change and healing, a voice for those who were still lost, still searching for the courage to embrace their own futures. As time went on, both Alex and Emily found their own versions of peace. Alex's life with Sophie grew deeper, more connected with every passing day. They continued to build their family, surrounded by love and support, nurturing their daughter Grace in a home filled with joy and laughter. Alex's success wasn't just in his career. It was in the life he had cultivated, a life that, though shaped by his past, was now defined by love, growth, and the lessons he had learned from it. Emily, too, found contentment in her independence. She became a mentor to many, offering guidance to those who, like her, had struggled to reconcile their past choices with their present lives. She found fulfillment not only in her career, but in her ability to make a difference in the lives of others. While she had once been defined by her mistakes, she was now defined by her ability to grow from them, her capacity to heal and to help others do the same. Years later, on the anniversary of their divorce, Alex and Emily both took a moment of quiet reflection. It was a date that once held so much pain, but now, it was simply a marker in the timeline of their lives, a reminder of where they had been, how far they had come, and the strength they had found in moving forward. Alex sat in his study, looking out at the sunset over the city, holding his daughter in his arms as Sophie stood beside him. He thought back to the dark days of his separation from Emily, to the pain of betrayal, the loss of trust, and the anger that had consumed him. But as he gazed at Grace, he realized that none of that pain had been in vain. It had shaped him, just as the love he shared with Sophie and Grace had healed him. Across town, Emily sat by the window in her apartment, a quiet smile on her face as she reflected on her own journey. Her life, once filled with uncertainty and self-doubt, was now one of purpose and fulfillment. She had found the courage to face the darkest parts of herself, and in doing so, she had emerged stronger and more whole. Neither of them had forgotten the past, but they had learned to make peace with it, to forgive themselves, and to embrace the beauty of new beginnings. In the end, their story was not just one of love and loss, but one of redemption, healing, and the power of letting go to make room for what truly matters.